to KUTV Rise Today. This is your best morning breakfast television show, and if you're tuning in, please let us know where you're watching us from. Give us a shout out on social media platforms, wherever you're at. Tag us at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_OKENYE. It is a chilly morning in Nairobi and its environs. It's been raining throughout the night, so if you're going out at the moment, dress up warmly, and we'll be giving you also weather updates in what you can expect during the day. It's not El Nino, but the heavy rains that were expected towards this time of the year are now with us, so drive carefully as well. I'll be telling you a bit more on that. On the roads are definitely going to be slippery as you go into work, as you go into business. Please be careful as you do that. This is Biashara Tuesday. It's a show that is focused on business, the business of the economy, and the business that is happening on the international front. We try and create stories and conversations that are going to be relevant for you as you pursue your day-to-day activities in business or in work. So we're taking a look at things that are affecting the economy of your household and how much money you're getting into your pocket. We are streaming live as well. I'll be giving you the platform in which you can check out the link at, so that you're following through the stream if you're going out of work or if you're going out of your house to work or your place of business. On the international front, however, we're going to be taking a look at some sad developments over in that Israeli-Hamas fight that is currently happening between Israel, or is happening in Israel and Palestine. Israel continues to do airstrikes and ground incursions, and a move that they're saying will be in trying to eradicate this Hamas terrorist group. They're saying there will be no ceasefire, and I was taking a look at a few statements from the officials over in that region. A Hamas-run Palestinian health ministry now says that the death toll at Gaza has risen to 8,000, more than 8,000. Yesterday, the record was at 8,306, including 3,457 children so far who've been killed in Gaza region. And this is given, or credit is given, to Israel Defense Forces. The Israel ambassador to the United Nations was also addressing the UN Security Council, and he says, I'm just going to quote him, that when Jewish babies were being burnt in Germany, the world was silent. Today, Jewish babies were burnt in Bari and the southern settlements by the Nazi Hamas, and the world is silent again. I'll make you remember the shame of your silence every time you look at me. The United Nations Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs says that the current situation in Gaza may be pale in comparison to what is about to come in the next few days. Israel, through its Prime Minister Netanyahu, has said it is relentless in the effort to eradicate this terrorist group from Palestine, and this will be done whether or not the international front or the international community comes to their support. We'll be following up on that very sad and dark story that is developing over in that region. In Sudan, war continues as well, which is closer to our borders, and in the DRC, there's war there as well. We've lost one Kenyan truck driver as of yesterday, and other few security personnel in that region. Speaking of dark times, King Charles III is now in Kenya in a state visit to the first Commonwealth country that he's doing since his inauguration last year in September. He's accompanied by the Queen Camilla, and they'll be doing 4 days in Kenya starting today. They are already touched down in Kenya, received by Prime CS Mudavadi, and today and tomorrow will be received by President William Ruto, and they'll be in Nairobi for 2 days before heading out to the coastal region to see a few entrepreneurs, young creatives, and also religious leaders from all the fronts. In this visit, the Buckingham Palace is saying, of course, discussions around environmental issues, entrepreneurship, and bilateral relations between Kenya and the UK. However, conversations on public discourse are pointing out towards the need for an apology, a public apology issued to the people of Kenya throughout the atrocities, the maiming, the killing, and the abuses that were made to the Kenyan people 60 years ago, or more than 60 years ago, when the British were here in colonial times. In 1963, which is we're going to celebrate 60 years of independence in just a few days in December of this year. 60 years since Kenya gained its independence. This day, or this visit, marks 40 years since the Queen Elizabeth was in Kenya in 1983. And now King Charles is here, and Kenyan people are saying that we need either reparations, whether they be in economic terms, or a public statement which will be issued over those cases of killing and maiming and displacement that was done to the Kenyan people, especially 1952 to 1960, which is the time when Queen Elizabeth took over the reins in the UK and orchestrated a case or a state of emergency between 1952 and 1960. In that period, more than 10,000 people were killed, of most of which were of the Kikuyu origin. A few coins have been offered. For example, in 2013, the UK gave out 2,600 pounds to each of the victims who claimed in a long court battle. 2,600 is around 300,000 Kenyan shillings, or 2 months worth of an MCA's salary. This is the much compensation that was given in 2013 to a few of those victims who are claiming, of course, reparations from the UK. So here's a question then. In what ways will we require an apology from the UK as King Charles visits? Is it a statement, or is it amount of money? And who do we push forward to get us these reparations? Is it the government, or do we expect, of course, the Kenya Human Rights Commission to follow up on this? We'll be discussing this and much more in the newspaper review section later on. I'll be telling you who I have here on the show. But apart from the newspaper review section, I've also invited over a few guests who will be having interesting conversations with me here this morning. If you're a business person, human resource is something that is of importance to you. How do you create a strong team? How do you use emotional intelligence, digital tools, and other things such as psychometrics that you can use to analyze, measure, and assess the performance of the team that you have in terms of human resource? We'll be having a conversation with an expert on that, but also agribusiness is featuring once more here on the show, the avocado industry. How do we position ourselves better for the export market, but also for quality in terms of the produce that is coming out of the avocado industry? How do we empower farmers? I'm having a discussion with one person who is doing that, and they are the avocado person nominee of the year in 2022. How do you become an avocado person, and how is that important to the avocado industry in the Republic? Those are the conversations that we've prepared for you here, myself and the whole team that is behind Biashara Tuesday. Please do tell us where you're tuning in from on Twitter or X, which is the platform formerly known as Twitter. You can find me at Richard_OKENYE and all the other platforms as well. Please let us know who else you'd like to tune into the show. Welcome. Let's have fun. What is happening on those roads, courtesy of Ma3 route? Traffic updates are here covering to you current information on transport conditions in the city and also weather conditions, what you can expect in Nairobi and its environs. But let me tell you something here that has been developing in regards to the Nairobi Expressway. The High Court has now dismissed 2 petitions which were seeking to suspend the use of the Nairobi Expressway over the toll charges, which the court now says here it has heard and were introduced without public participation. So these cases have been thrown out, and the petitioners are saying Justice Mugure Thande said that the petitioners ought to have filed the complainant before the petition committee or the Public-Private Partnership Committee. So these cases have been thrown out, and the Nairobi Expressway will continue to operate and to raise expressway toll fees. Not many Kenyans are happy here, and I will be reading a few comments from Kenyans who, like Sylvia Nyamondo, who's saying the beauty of becoming and the troubles of being. The beauty of becoming and the troubles of being. I guess this is in reference to being a Kenyan and such cases which are being thrown out. Police officers are having a hard time on roads which are leading to Garissa and the North region in the transportation of exams which are beginning today. KCPE and KPSEA examinations are continuing all across the country, and police officers are having trouble. Actually, already police officers have been killed in Garissa by Al-Shabaab ahead of these exams yesterday. And now these roads that are leading to the north, there is trouble in terms of distribution of the examinations. And we are hoping that security security personnel are going to attend to those roads. Machakos County bus station land apparently belongs to a private firms, and a lot of Kenyans are here reacting to this new revelation that the popular Machakos Country bus is owned by a private firm. So there are comments here that I can't get into, but maybe one or two. Boniface Ombu saying here, how comes land issues are rising during President William Ruto's tenure, including this one of the bus station. Stephen Samu also there, anasema ametumia Machakos Airport, that is the Machakos Country bus, that's what he is calling the Machakos Airport, and they didn't know it is public land all along. Bushmaster asking, what about JKIA? Is it also public or is it private? Let them have a look at that as well. Transport information or current transport information in terms of what you're expecting on the roads this morning. Matthew Root tells me that on Thika Road things are as tight as ever because of the heavy rains. So if you're going out to town, expect heavy traffic. Heavy fire as well reported 4 hours ago along Thiongo Road in Wayaki Way. County fire officials are attending to that earlier today, 4 hours ago. So that in the night, heavy fire along the Thiongo Road. Let's get to know more information on what is happening. That Thiongo Road is along Wayaki Way. People of Westlands and Ezo sides, please let us know of what is developing there. Due to roadworks on James Gishuru Road near the turnoff to Muthangari, traffic has extended all the way from the Red Hill Road to Raptor Road. So avoid those areas if you can. If you're in James Gishuru Road, there is roadworks happening there. So, and traffic has extended all the way from the Red Hill link to Raptor Road. Avoid that area if you can as well. Avoid the road I've mentioned earlier, which is Thiongo Road. It's also along Wayaki Way. Wayaki Way also borders James Gishuru Road and Red Hill. So what were your sides? Beware of that information. Al-Rama bus has been involved in a bus accident at the Tabatangi along the Meriti Isiolo Road. Meriti Isiolo Road, there's a road accident. There's an accident there involving a bus belonging to Al-Rama. So if you're in that direction, beware of that, or officials of the Al-Rama bus, please attend to that. Traffic also along the Southern Bypass from the Airtel Ole Sereni, like 4 kilometers heading to Langata Interchange. So if you're heading to the Langata Interchange from the Airtel around Ole Sereni in Southern Bypass, there's traffic building up there. What's happening on Southern Bypass? Watu wamekwama at the Ole Sereni towards the Langata. Traffic build up over there. There's an open trench which is being dug across James Gishuru. That's what is happening. So wale watu wako near Msongari and are heading towards Westlands, beware of that information. One more information, ABC, still Wayaki Way, Shida ni Wayaki Way, James Gishuru and Thika Road, all heavy traffic. Kindaruma Road next to Top Plaza here as well. A car has just been knocked down by a boda rider. That's information we're receiving from places which are close to the Nairobi CBD. Of course, we're expecting that traffic will be disrupted along other major roads in Nairobi as that visit by King Charles III and Queen Camilla is happening. They will be in Nairobi for 2 days. Received yesterday night by PS Musalia Mudavadi, by Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi. Today will be received by President William Ruto for a 2-day visit in Nairobi, meeting entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, business people, and other religious leaders. So we're expecting that a few roads will definitely be affected, as they will also be visiting a museum within the Nairobi city center. So be aware, if you're heading out to Nairobi, your business will be disrupted in one way or another. However, that's as much as I have so far. Please continue updating me as we go on with the show. This is Biashara Tuesday. Matters of business are of our concern. We'll be looking at those in a bit later. I'll give you information on the guests that I've invited here on the show with me here. It's going to be a women-led show, or a show that has a lot of women entrepreneurs and also women journalists. So you have to be excited a bit on that kind of turnaround on the show. However, more information on the updates from your world news from all over the world, according to KUTV Newsroom. I'll be back with that. Don't go too far. Thank you for staying here with us on Biashara Tuesday. Tell us where you're tuning in from, please. We will like to give you a shout out. Also, if you have a business and you like that business to be highlighted today, I'm giving you a chance to let us know what business you are conducting. Today as well, KCPE, KPSEA examinations are happening all across the world, all across the country. They started yesterday and they're continuing today with the major subjects like mathematics starting here. So please let us know which is your former primary school, and if you like to give them a shout out as well, your favorite primary school teacher or the school where you took your KCPE, or if you did your exams way before KCPE also, please let us know and we'll be giving them a shout out and encourage them as they sit the final examinations. On the show today, we have guests. Of course, we have to speak to people in the industry who are well versed in matters of entrepreneurship and in what they do. We'd like to get a few tips here and there. Agribusiness is a very good venture if you're trying to start off on your own. The person I've invited here today is Wanjiko Kabura. Wanjiko Kabura is the co-founder of the Avocado Aggregators Association. We're going to have a look at a few of the new markets in China and India as well. So if you're an avocado farmer, we want to pose you or position you well for this export market. What kind of challenges can you expect? And what are the aggregators at the aggregators level? What are they doing to empower farmers? What should you be doing as these heavy rains are happening? There are various avocado seasons throughout the year. How should you position yourself? Where should you source your seeds? And what exactly should you do to position yourself in the supply chain in the avocado industry? That's the conversation I'm having with Wanjiko Kabura. As I said, she is the co-founder of the Avocado Aggregators Association and the Avocado Person of the Year nominee in 2022. What is an avocado person of the year and what exactly do they do? I'll be sitting down in a newspaper review section, as we always do here on the show, breaking down the headlines of the day. Of course, definitely education is the top of the headlines. The visit by King Charles and Queen Camilla from the UK, 4-day state visit in Kenya also happening. Reparations, a discussion happening on the public discourse. I'll be forwarding some of those to Anna Njeri Ndichu, who's a journalist. She'll be joining me here on the show, taking a look at the international developments and also some bits of politics within our borders. Those are the conversations that are coming to you a bit later, but now let me round up a few news updates from all over the world, and then we can put all that into perspective in Biashara Tuesday. Tweet me up at Richard_Okenye. I'll be right back. Of course, as I said, there are national examinations for Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, and the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, KPSEA, KIPSEA, has commenced yesterday and will continue today, with President William Ruto overseeing the process at Kikuyu Primary School in Kiambu County. The head of state has assured each candidate of a slot in the next level of education as promised in his Kenya Kwanza government. Take a look.
President William Ruto led Kenyans in opening of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and Kenya Primary School Education exams at Kikuyu Primary School in Kiambu County that began today. Ruto, while addressing candidates, assured them of smooth transition as they advance to the next phase in their studies.
Mjue ya kwamba hii mtihani ni ya kuwasaidia muweze kusonga mbele katika masomo yenu. You are the wealth of our nation. You are the future of our country. Tumefanya mpango ya kutosha mumalize mtihani wenu, na tumewapangia pia vile mtaenda mbele na masomo yenu. There is an opportunity for each and every one of you.
Over 1.3 million candidates in primary schools across the country have begun their examinations today, with 1.2 million grade 6 candidates sitting for KPSEA exams, 3,823 candidates with special needs sitting for KILE exams, and 1.4 million class 8 candidates sitting for the last KCPE exams.
The purpose of that exam, Your Excellency, is not for placement, but for assessment on the progress of our pupils at that particular level of grade 6.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, while overseeing the exam at St. George's Primary School, outlined the importance of exam integrity for Kenya's exam credential to be recognized internationally.
We want to send a very strong symbolism to the people of Kenya that the integrity of the exams is paramount, so that their credentials can be recognized not just within our boundaries, but even beyond.
Primary school teachers will serve as primary school supervisors and invigilators during the exam, as secondary school teachers will invigilate secondary school exams. Nevertheless, no invigilator shall be allowed at an exam center twice.
No supervisor should repeat a center more than twice as a supervisor and an invigilator, so that then we bring in objectivity.
However, the Minister of Defense, Aden Duale, in Kahawa Garrison Primary School, assured citizens that in collaboration with the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the government will deal with those who dare engage in exam malpractice.
The exams will be free, fair, and integrity will be very high. And anybody who tries to bring or to mess up with the integrity of the examinations, other security agencies led by the DCI and other arms of government are on the watch out.
This will be the last KCPE exam being done in Kenya as the government rolls out the new CBC curriculum. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
I'll have you know that this is the last Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams, KCPE, last KCPE exams. So it's time for you to reminisce on the time that you sat for your KCPE. If you'd like to give a shout out to your former primary school, we're going to give you a chance on that. Please let us know in the social platforms that you're using at KUTV Kenya. Give a shout out to your former KCPE and also give us a few nostalgic moments of you sitting for your KCPE exams. How was it like, and how many years ago was that? What were the jitters like for you when you sat for your KCPE? I remember my time. I'll be sharing some of those nostalgic moments from my side. However, in the meantime, security measures in Kilifi County have been well put in place as primary school national examinations began in the country. Elsewhere, in Busia County, the government has also put in place measures in case of flooding, especially in Budalangi and Akiramasi areas, which involve the use of Kenya Coast Guard boats to ensure candidates are getting exams on time. This and much more in the Examination County Wrap.
It was an easy start for candidates in Kilifi County, with security measures having been well put in place ahead of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and Kenya Primary School Education Assessment exams kick-off. Speaking to the press during the exam distribution, Deputy County Commissioner of Kilifi County Samuel Mutisia warned invigilators and students against any form of examination malpractice. Elsewhere in Migori County, 82,279 KCPE and KPSEA candidates are expected to sit for the national examinations. Migori County Deputy Commissioner Ms. Milka Karaoke cautioned any examination misconduct.
Tarajia wanafunzi wamejitayarisha vya kutosha, na ile naomba ni center managers wote katika centers zetu za KPSEA na KCPE ambazo ni 68 waweze kuwa makinifu, waweze kufuatilia zile taratibu zimewekwa na NEC ili hiyo kazi ikamilike vizuri.
Meanwhile, in Narok, one candidate will be sitting for her KCPE exam in hospital after developing labor pains. Narok County Director of Education Apollo Apuko, however, did not disclose the details of the girl, but assured that the girl will be given the necessary attention to do her exams.
Started on well. We have 85 centers and we've been able to distribute the KCPE and KPSEA exams. So far, so good.
In Budalangi, Busia County, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Principal Secretary Susan Mangeni today presided over the opening of KCPE and KPSEA exam containers, where she stated exam distribution will be done via boats. 2 centers from Bunyala will pick their exams from the neighboring sub-county of Siaya due to logistic and lack of enough Coast Guard boats. Cynthia Nderitu, KUTV.
Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has given assurance to parents that the ministry is not planning to increase school fees for Form 1 learners joining high school in 2024, as had earlier been insinuated. According to Machogu, school fees for secondary schools will remain the same. Machogu spoke in Kikuyu on Monday, where he went to oversee the beginning of KCPE and KPSEA exams along President William Ruto. Machogu further clarified that currently national secondary schools and extra county schools charge 53,000 Kenyan shillings per year, while county secondary school learners will continue to pay 45,000 Kenyan shillings per annum. His sentiments come in response to proposals to increase fees in secondary schools. So all the best to my former primary school, Sameta Boys Boarding Primary School, which is all the way in a very remote corner of Kisii County. It is a school that made me who I am. Shout out to all those students sitting their examinations, and to the headmaster there, who was the deputy headmaster at the time I was, which is Mr. John Ototo. I wish you all the best. Away from education, President William Ruto has launched a digital devices assembly plant, which is a partnership between the Ministry of Information, Communication Technology, Safaricom, and the East Africa Device Assembly Kenya in Mavoko, Machakos County. The devices, according to the head of state, will play a vital role in ensuring Kenyans interact with technology, create employment opportunities, and grow the economy.
In fulfillment of his digitization agenda, President William Ruto today launched the first smartphone device assembly plant, which will help in transforming inclusion and ensure Kenyans have access to government services. President Ruto also said that the devices will leverage the barrier to universal inclusion and access to various activities that are intended to be freely available to Kenyans.
A significant barrier to universal inclusion and access to various services and opportunities that are intended to be freely available otherwise. To overcome this critical challenge to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we identified the production of affordable smart digital devices as one urgent priority, as I said earlier, that will guarantee the possibility of universal.
According to the Cabinet Secretary for Information Communication and Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, the launch of the digital devices will be a solution to the government's digitization agenda. Owalo also said that the devices have been a missing gap in the connectivity and universal access.
Inclusivity in the digitalization agenda has been achieved. In pursuit of this digitalization agenda, Your Excellency, there has been a missing gap. The missing gap has been the device. Connectivity is only meaningful if there is universal access, Your Excellency. And in this regard, I want to thank most sincerely EDAC for helping us as government to close the gap.
According to Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa, the launch of the devices will be a step forward in accelerating access to digital and government services, empower Kenyans through affordable, high-quality smartphones, and create employment opportunities.
Is a step in accelerating access to high-quality 4G devices across the country, and this factory can be anywhere in the world, so we are delighted that it is here in Kenya. We believe the smartphone in everyone's hand will act as the pathway to accessing government services and also endless possibilities on the internet.
The digital mobile devices, which will cost 7,499 Kenyan shillings, will be available countrywide at fiber shops, dealer stores, and Safaricom shops. In January 2024, the devices will be available on installments upon payment of 1,000 Kenya shillings deposit. Sylvester Ogembo, KU TV.
All right, now let's move on to the royal visit by King Charles. I am being informed here by one bearded member that I earlier on stated that in September of 2022 is when the inauguration of King Charles happened. I'm being corrected that it's coronation. So it is the coronation of King Charles, not the inauguration. On to it then. King Charles visiting the third visits the third to the country has continued to raise concerns among Kenyans and different community groups. The Abagusi Heritage Council of Elders have issued their demands, which they hope that will be presented to the king. Among them, compensation of their burnt houses, return of their heroes' skulls, and a formal apology by the king.
As Kenya awaits the visit of King Charles III, various communities have continued to raise concern on compensation and apology from the West. The Kisii Heritage Council of Elders have today issued their demands, stating that the British monarch should give an apology, offer compensation of arts and houses which were destroyed by the British soldiers, and construct memorial centers.
We also demand that you return the skulls of our people, starting with OKENYE, for a befitting burial.
And John King anapofika Kenya, tafadhali akumbuke watu walioteseka kama Wakisii. Wakisii waliturumiwa vibaya mpaka kwa sasa hatuna amani.
A spot check by the KUTV in Nairobi saw various Kenyans emphasizing on the compensation of the Mau Mau fighters, as others said that the visit will not be of any benefit to them.
Wakati wa Mau Mau watu waliteseka sana, na wengine walikuwa msituni, wengine wakaenda manyani na hawakupewa kitu chochote. Kwa maana akija ajaribu na aone sisi tulikuwa watu wazuri.
If he can come and consult Mau Mau members and see on how he can compensate them, that will be the greatest visit to this country.
Elsewhere, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi stated that Kenya is the first Commonwealth country to be visited by the king since colonization, and that Kenyans should be proud of this.
All right, so reparations and compensation are called there by the Abagusi people and also other communities. The Kenya Human Rights Commission did also say on Sunday that those wrongs have to be corrected, and we are expecting a full apology to be issued by the king. Following years long of battle, I'm also seeing here that in 2013, Britain agreed to compensate more than 5,000 Kenyans who had suffered abuse during the Mau Mau revolt in a deal that was worth £20 million. This is $25 million at today's rate. Each claimant at that time received £2,600, as I'd said earlier, after legal costs were deducted. £2,600 is about 3,000 or 2,500 US dollars, which will translate to around 300,000 Kenyan shillings. 2 months of an MCA salary, I don't think that's worth compensation. So we're hoping that conversation can be picked up today. However, also lingering is a source of tension that is also lingering in the air is the presence of British troops in Kenya. Just a few miles from Nairobi, the capital city, there is a British base in Nanyuki, and there have been ongoing investigations by the Parliament of Kenya since August into the activities of these British troops in Kenya. Will that be in the discussions that the president will be having with the King Charles? We are waiting, and we'll also be delving much more into that and what we can expect later in the newspaper review section. Please don't miss out on that conversation that will be coming up. Now, back to what is happening within the finances of the Republic. In the 2023-2024 supplementary budget, the Office of the Deputy President has seen to benefit more after receiving 4.3 billion shillings from the initial 3.5 billion allocated to him. The supplementary budget has seen the office of the spouse of the deputy president receive an addition 424.8 million, adding to her share to 717.66 million. This and more in our today's business news.
The office of the Deputy President and his spouse for the first time has overtaken the office of the President in allocation of budget after the office of the Second Lady, Dorcas Rigathi, was allocated an addition budget of 424.8 million. In the 187 billion supplementary budget tabled in Parliament, the President Office budget has been cut from 4.3 billion to 4 billion, while the Deputy President initial budget was 3.5 billion, which has gone high to 4.3 billion, and his spouse office budget from 292.86 million to 717 million. Meanwhile, the Treasury has disclosed that state-owned enterprises loans has increased by 12.55 billion in the 2022-2023 financial year that ended June, adding the debt to 111.8 billion compared to 99 billion debt in the previous financial year. According to data from the Treasury, nearly half of the total non-guaranteed debt stock is held by state-owned enterprises in the energy sector, largely Kenya Power, KenGen, and Geothermal Development Company GDC. In the meantime, National Oil Corporation of Kenya NOC loans to credit facilities has gone high to 8.56 billion due to interest and penalties imposed on the company. According to a treasury document, NOC owes KCB Group 6.35 billion and 2.21 billion to Stanbic Bank, which it took to fund fuel purchases. Charles Kirubi, KUTV.
All right, now moving over from our borders into Israel. As Israel continues to expand its military operation in Gaza, the United States has reiterated its calls for the protection of innocent human life. Separately, a U.S. military expert warns that Israel's mission to destroy Hamas could prove almost impossible.
Israel Defense Forces underscored Sunday that the militant group Hamas, and not the people of Gaza, is the target of their military operations, which have now been expanded. But as more reports and footage emerge showing extensive damage in civilian areas, Israel's approach and the support the United States is giving it continues to receive scrutiny. Appearing on ABC's This Week, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan reaffirmed the U.S. position on the matter.
What we are providing to Israel is subject to the laws of war and to the requirements that steps be taken to protect innocent life. Those are requirements we impose anytime we transfer weapons to another country.
Some relatives of the hostages taken by Hamas during its October 7th terror attack on Israel have expressed worries that the ground offensive could put those kidnapped at risk. But Sullivan added that there are several ongoing efforts to get them home safely.
We are prepared to support humanitarian pauses so that hostages can get out safely, and we will keep working at that every day.
The war to destroy Hamas was deemed a, quote, nearly impossible mission that could take months, according to retired Army General Robert Abrams, who also granted an interview to ABC.
The defense that Hamas will put up in that very dense urban terrain, unlike anything that we've seen in recent years, is going to require some very fierce fighting, and simultaneously trying to ensure that the Israelis do not target unwittingly the locations of the hostages.
General Abrams also elaborated on the matters that would need to be addressed after the military conflict comes to an end.
Hamas was created as a result of a lack of a separate Palestinian state, a two-state solution, as many people have talked about. That has to be somewhere. When you ask, how does this end? That has to be part of the equation.
In the meantime, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees voiced worry Sunday that people storming its Gaza aid warehouses is a sign that civil order is starting to break down. The warning came as Pope Francis renewed calls for a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the hostages, many of whom are believed to have dual nationalities. Verónica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
All right, so that story from the Israel and Hamas fight brings us to the end of the updates here on KUTV Rise today. A very huge hand of gratitude to all our reporters in KUTV newsroom who've prepared those news pieces to us. Now, there have been a few developments during the past week since last Tuesday till now. Over the week on public discourse, especially on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, there was a discussion over people who are arriving in Kenya from overseas. So you know those times where you're out asking, nani anatoka Minnesota anikujie na kitu, or who's coming from this place and that place anibebe ka item, or if you want to buy something cheaper and without importation tax, you get someone to carry it for you to bring it to Kenya. So that might not be happening anymore, as KRA has agents in JKIA who are opening your luggage and checking for any goods. So if you have a new phone or a new laptop inside a box, that's going to receive taxation. And Kenyans have been crying, especially on Twitter, on exactly what this means for people who are just purchasing stuff for personal use and however have to pay extra taxes as if they're coming back to do business with them. So KRA put out a tweet yesterday, which it has deleted, by the way, but they were saying here that all goods, whether new or used, are subject to taxation. So remember, when you're traveling, you will be allowed to carry personal or household items which are worth $500 and below. Anything that is going to be above that amount shall be subjected to tax. Seems KRA has deleted this tweet, and what does this mean for us now? They should be issuing clarification. They're saying that any household or any electronic item for personal use that you have that is above 500 USD will be subjected to extra taxation. And a very funny remark that I want to close up with before we come back with the newspaper review section, which is coming up later with Anne and Dichu. We're going to be having a look at the headlines. Part of the headlines this morning is that royal visit by King Charles and Queen Camilla. So Terian Kibiriti on Twitter or on X is saying, did customs or KRA people stop King Charles and Queen Camilla and ask them to pay taxes on goods above 500 USD? Just curious. That takes us to a break here on Biashara Tuesday. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'll be right back.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Furnace Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosive.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland, and I'm the main coordinator of the CAFE project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Eva Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa siko kufuko. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Focus on Health
Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bwari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
Mtazamaji popote ulipo, unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show
inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
All right, Biashara Tuesday is now live on air. Welcome back to the show, and thank you for keeping it here with us. Let me give a shout out to a few people before we get into this section. It's the newspaper review time, and if you have a copy of any of these papers, the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily, which is what we have with us here on the table, please follow along the headlines and the top stories, but any other paper, or from even before today. Kama uko na paper ya Monday or from days before and has something interesting that you'd like us to shout out here on the show, please let us know. But tuning into the show on X, is certified Luo boy watching from Ruiru. Thank you for tuning in to the show. I'm also seeing guys who've been waiting on this segment from yesterday. Ann Odida, who's also part of us here at KUTV. Thank you for waiting along, and it's time for us to, of course, get into it. Emperor Sheka, Jal Rakontua watching all the way from areas of Kahawa. Romeo 254 as well, and Jori Samoka. People who've been waiting on this segment. We're going to be having a discussion here now with Ann Njeri Ndichu, who is a journalist, and we will be taking a look at the most important stories and, of course, how they will be affecting the business of the country, the business of every single individual. So before I bring her on board, let me go through the headlines real quick, and then we get into the discussion. The Standard this morning is prioritizing this story of KCPE and KCPE and KPSEA. Is it KIPSEA or KIPSEA? Yeah, let us know if you can let us know the pronunciation. Out goes KCPE, in comes new exams. Whereas learners have been used to cutthroat competition, the new testing format aims to create a less burdensome and more student-friendly way of assessing candidates, relieving the pressure of chasing top scores. There's a new, of course, education system, CBC curriculum, which is replacing the old 844. And this is going to be the last KCPE examination, which began yesterday and continues in the 3 days up to Wednesday. And we'll be taking a look at that as well. President William Ruto pictured here, engaging candidates during the start of KCPE and KPSEA exams at the Kikuyu Township Primary School in Kiambu County yesterday. That is all the way in Kiambu County in Kikuyu Township Primary, where President William Ruto kicked off this examination process, of course accompanied there by Ezekiel Machogu, who is the CS for Education. We're getting into that as well. The British monarch survives where many have failed is at the top left corner of the Standard, and is there on page 6 and 7. We'll be having a look at that. Of course, a very auspicious visit by the British royals, who are going to have a very busy period this coming few days. Let's go to the Daily Nation. Kenya's top counties. That is the headline there. Kenya's top counties, and it's not in matters of education, but in matters of devolution. A scorecard here on devolved units, where they are ranking different counties on how they've been performing for the past 10 years, where devolution has been in effect. Devolved units from the Rift Valley dominate the top 10 places in the latest County Performance Index by Infotrack, with neighbors Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet taking joint lead. But counties from other parts of the country are also showing their mettle in the sector listings. It's page 10 and page 11. More than 70% of respondents are also saying that devolution has made their lives better. We've had a discussion about devolution before here on the show. Maybe we'll be touching on it, of course, being the headline here on the Daily Nation. Let me just borrow here the Business Daily, which I just passed over to Anne to have a look at the headline, which is smartphone plant, which is now rose to life amid price standoff. Smartphone plant rose to life amid price standoff. President William Ruto launching the first assembly or smartphone assembly plant in Kenya over in Mavoko, Athi River in Machakos County. We'll be looking at the headlines, but first, let me introduce Anne. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine. I'm doing very well.
All right. Let me give you a chance to do a proper introduction. Do justice to yourself, to our audience, then we get to what you have planned here for them.
So my name is Ann Njeri Ndichu, and I'm a journalist. I think that's enough.
All right.
Yeah.
You're a journalist. In which areas of journalism do you mostly like to venture into?
Mostly education and matters related.
All right. Education is among the top stories here today, so it's going to be very relevant for you, of course. Let me maybe ask you, blank off the top of your head, yeah? We have out goes KCPE, in comes new exams, yeah? We have Kenya's top counties, and we have smartphone plant, which is now here roaring to life. I'm having a problem with that R at the end there. Smartphone plant rose to life. Which is the best headline? If you were the editor of these newspapers this morning, which one would you say is the best score? We are speaking education, we are speaking scorecard for counties, so this is scoring. Let's score them. Which one is the best?
I'd go with the Standard.
Okay.
Out goes KCPE, in comes the new exams.
All right. What would this be your best pick?
Because this is interesting, actually. For culture, let me say a culture that has been going on in Kenya since 1985, when the first KCPE was done. It's coming to an end. This is the last lot. This is the last bunch of students to engage in KCPE, and then comes in the new era of KPSEA. I think this is so interesting because, KCPE, the burden that was there, let me tell you, it was...
Let's look back at your time. I don't know if you want to reveal how long, we can leave that out.
Okay.
But maybe during your time at KCPE, how was that like? Was it, as you said, it was very hectic, and the standard is also calling it, learners have been used to cutthroat competition. How was it like for you? Did you have jitters? How was your experience building up all the way to KCPE?
Let me say it was quite an experience because actually I was among the first lot of CS Matiang'i. So, you know, the pressure, new exams, schedules, new ways of testing. That really put a lot of pressure on students, and you know how the society expects you to perform. You know, you need to get 350 and above, 450. It's quite a lot for the students and for the kids. But I feel like for the KPSEA exams, they're very much friendly to the students, to the learners. Because I think it constitutes to 40% of the normal grading. You see, like for KCPE, you've studied for like 11 years since pre-unit, those other classes, all the way up to standard 8, for you to be tested 3 days. 3 days. Yani all your life you've been studying for 3 days.
Just for 3 days, and this is going to determine the rest of your life.
Yeah, because even if you used to pass in the previous exams, if you fail in your KCPE,
it won't matter at that
point. But for this competency-based curriculum, 60% of your continuous assessment tests that you used to do in grade 4, 5, and 6, those are the determinants. The KPSEA exam is only contributing to 40%. So I feel that is much better, and it's friendly to the students, and they won't have to struggle, you know, and they will get much exposed to the world.
All right. It's going to be less pressure for, you know, chasing tops, because I also remember during my time, it's either you had above 400 to make it to a national school, or above 350. During my time, there were provincial schools as well, so there was a very segmented sort of assessment in terms of marks. Only what you score during those 3 days is what is going to determine where you go. And of course, knowing that, you know, after that is KCSE as well, which is also going to determine your next step. You study for all those years to only be assessed less than 10 hours if you put cumulatively all the number of hours you sit down for your exam, right? So whereas learners have been used to cutthroat competition, there's this new testing format under CBC, which is going to create less burdensome and more student-friendly way of assessing candidates. In page 4 and 5, which is what the standard is prioritizing, calling it an end of an era with an ERA, but maybe an error with an ERROR there.
Probably, makes sense.
Who's to say? 1.2 million candidates are sitting for KPSEA, while 1.42 million are sitting for the last KCPE exams. Looking at those numbers, maybe something now I would ask, moving away from, you know, of course now we have a new CBC system, which we could delve much more into on its whole structure, the whole framework, but at least on assessment we could agree that less pressure is there, of course. But looking at the numbers, do we have enough, do you feel like we have enough secondary school facilities to take in 1.2 million KPSEA and 1.42 million who are sitting KCPE? That's a huge number, right?
Yeah, that's a huge number. I think, of course, the continuing students, the last year's bunch, and I can see there's progress in terms of building schools and classes for the incoming ones. So I think with time, if proper funding is done, the transition will be much easier and smoother with time.
All right.
Yeah, it's all about the funding and the management.
There are fears, if you're speaking about funding as well, there, CS Machogu putting away fears that, you know, there was speculations there will be an increase in school fees for education of secondary schools. However, just to put it out clearly out there, Ezekiel Machogu says it will be the same as last year, 54,000 Kenyan shillings for national schools, 45,000 for county school per annum, which is the amount that in 2024 parents can expect to pay for their students who are going to be joining Form 1. However, in terms of taking a look at that figure, it's not a small amount. 54,000 is not a small amount, even as is funding and the cost of living for parents. Will it be? And I know earlier on you hinted, of course, in the university funding model challenges that we'll be getting into a bit later. Do you think parents can continue, of course, supporting their students in these tough times in regards to education?
I think right now education is getting more and more expensive with time. And it's it's my fear that we'll go back to the era where education was a rare commodity. I think during Kibaki's time, that's when I feel like, that's where I found education. I feel like...
free education at the time as well, right?
Yes, I found education was affordable. And right now, as things are going by, I feel like it's going to be much more hectic to parents, and people will have to drop out of schools or go to, maybe you scored 400 and above, but since your parents can't afford for you to go to Alliance or a national school, you'll just have to settle for what is there. So the increment in fee, it's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair.
It wouldn't be fair to any of these parents. And we've seen even university students saying that they will be orchestrating a strike in case the funding that they're expecting from the government doesn't receive or doesn't arrive early.
Yes.
Then who? I think we should be having a few of this. If we see that in the university level, maybe someone should take care of primary school kids as well. I don't think class 8 students will go on strike if they didn't get enough funding. But it's time for us to also lobby for funding to be pushed towards these schools or this lower tier of education. Heavy rains are also expected in various parts of the country as these exams are kicking off. Insecurity cases over in the north region, of course, police officers who've been ambushed by what it seems to be Al-Shabaab attacks. We're seeing here in page 4 of the standard that some students are being airlifted in places where there are expected cases of insecurity or flooding. So we are seeing various challenges which are not related even to funding or education. Right. What do you make of this kind of situations?
Education is very, very much delicate. Like, for example, people have been killed. There's some police officers being killed out there during this KCPE period. Insecurity is a major problem in some areas, and it's such a pity that the government still can't equip those areas properly to enhance a smooth time for these students, because it will affect even the performance of the students.
Right.
You're sitting in class, but you're just in fear. Anything can happen at any time. So yeah, I think this is a part that should be checked on.
Right, as they always do during political campaigns. I think if ballot papers can get to the most insecure corner of the republic, it should be easy for education as well.
Yeah.
Right? Prioritizing matters of education. Read about the heavy rains which are expected in some parts of the region. Over 2.6 million candidates are sitting exams in total, KPSEA and KCPE, and these are sitting even as hundreds of those who are not registered heeded CS Machogu's call there. Page 4-5 of the standard is where you get that story. I don't know if the Daily Nation does have matters of KCPE and examination. Right.
Yeah.
Page 2 and page 3 there.
Yeah.
All right. So ruling out of fears of increment of fees, and also President William Ruto pictured there. We're seeing here students who are walking, as you can see, in between security personnel, going to schools, others being searched as they're sitting their final examination. Anything that you would like to say to your former primary school at this point?
My former primary school, it's Kagema Primary School just here in Ruiru. Big shout out, and thank you for making me the person I am right now. Yes.
All right. Wishing them all the best in their KCP and KPSEA. Is it Kipsea?
Kipsea.
You're saying Kipsea? She's saying Kipsea. If you're out there, tell us if it's Kipsea or Kipsea. But also all the best to, again, once more, Sameta Boys Boarding Primary School for the Anyway, Sameta Boys Boarding Primary School all the way in Sameta of Kisii County. I'm wishing them all the best in their KCPE. They don't have any KPSEA candidates, but I know they have KCPE who are sitting the examinations. They haven't yet broken my record. I almost forgot that. So they're yet to break my KCPE record from all the way a decade plus ago. So challenge them. Ile I break, this is on national TV. You can find me. There'll be a prize. There'll be prize money for you there to begin your secondary school life. Back to the Daily Nation then, and if you can take a look at the counties here. Wewe ni wa Kiambu County.
Yes.
Right. Kuna scorecard hapa ya InfoTrack. They are giving the top 10 places in the latest county performance index by InfoTrack. The best performing counties, let's begin with even with education. Juu tunaongea mambo ya education. The best performing in education is West Pokot. Would you let me read this list and hear your expectations. West Pokot, top 3 is West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Murang'a. Will you think these are the best performing counties in education? Where is your county here? It's not even in the
to be found. Not even in
it's not even there in the top 10, right? Kiambu County is not anywhere in the top 10 in terms of performance in education. West Pokot is at the top, Elgeyo Marakwet and Murang'a. What were your? There's not even Nairobi, the county, the capital of the nation, of the republic.
Wow.
So devolved units are being ranked here across various sectors. Agriculture as well. Uasin Gishu at the top, Elgeyo Marakwet second, Trans Nzoia. When it comes to roads, Nyeri, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot. Culture and sports, Elgeyo Marakwet, Homa Bay, West Pokot. Rift Valley region is topping all the counties in terms of the scorecard here. And top 25 counties overall is Uasin Gishu County at the top. Second is Elgeyo Marakwet, Trans Nzoia County, there 3. So let me look for my county there, which doesn't seem to be featuring anywhere.
Which one?
Kisii County is number 15 there. Kiambu County haiko bado.
Haiko.
Top 15. What is happening with your county?
Guy, let's get serious, my people, because what?
Right. Here, so it's education, agriculture, roads, culture, and sport, and an overall ranking here. What do you think is making the counties in the Rift Valley to dominate the top 10 places? Your best guess or educated guess?
I think it all trickles down back to the leaders. I mean, no, for a